Let me be blunt. If you don't understand how some women test, manipulate, or challenge your self-worth, you'll constantly feel confused, frustrated, and played. But once you understand the difference between reacting and responding, with calm strength, you flip the script. You stop playing their game and start setting the rules. High-value men don't get dragged into emotional traps. They see through them and respond with clarity, power, and purpose. Here are 6 core truths that separate high-value men from the rest when it comes to navigating women's games. A high-value man doesn't get swept up in words. He watches actions. While many men are easily pulled in by charm, flattery, or beauty, the man who values himself stays grounded. He knows that anyone can say the right thing, but only consistent behavior reveals real intentions. This is why he doesn't rush into emotional investment based on surface-level attention. He takes his time to observe. He listens more than he talks. And most importantly, he tracks how a woman treats him over time, not just how she makes him feel in the moment. Women often test men without even realizing it. Sometimes they'll pull back affection to see how you respond. Sometimes they'll give mixed signals, looking for weakness or over-eagerness. A low-value man gets anxious. He doubles down on trying to please her. He seeks validation, thinking if he just proves himself enough, she'll stop the games. But that response tells her everything. He's not in control of himself, and she's now in control of the dynamic. The high-value man doesn't react emotionally to these patterns. He observes. If a woman starts showing inconsistent effort, he doesn't confront her with desperation. He pulls back with calm indifference. His attention is something to earn, not something he gives away easily. And that makes him rare. By focusing on patterns instead of promises, this man avoids being misled by short-term affection or attention. He knows that anyone can put on a good show for a few days or weeks, but the truth always reveals itself through actions. So, while others are busy chasing validation, he watches, he studies. And if the behavior doesn't align with what he values, he simply walks, without hate, without games, just with standards. That's how he stays ahead. Emotional control is one of the sharpest tools a high-value man possesses. When a woman throws, tests, plays games, or pushes buttons, most men fall into the trap of reacting. They argue, complain, seek reassurance, or try to win back favor. But every emotional outburst is a signal that a man isn't centered, that he's emotionally dependent on her responses. And once that dynamic is exposed, the power shifts. High-value men don't operate on emotional impulse. They've trained themselves to respond, not react. When faced with a challenge, be it passive-aggressive comments, jealousy games, or sudden distance, they stay composed. That calm response isn't weakness, it's power. It shows that their emotional state isn't dictated by someone else's behavior. It's a message that says, "You don't control my peace." Women often test emotional strength subconsciously. It's not always malicious, it's instinctual. They want to feel a man's stability. When a man collapses into insecurity at the first sign of tension, it signals immaturity. But when he stays grounded, makes eye contact, stays cool, speaks with calm clarity, it tells her he's not easily shaken. That presence builds deep trust and attraction. Silence can be more powerful than 100 defensive words. A man who doesn't over-explain, doesn't beg, doesn't lash out, that man earns respect. He makes it clear that emotional games won't work on him. And in that space, the woman is forced to step up her energy if she wants to stay in his world. A calm, steady man becomes magnetic because he stands out. While most men crumble under emotional pressure, he leans back, assesses the situation, and decides what's worth his time. That kind of emotional discipline isn't just attractive, it's elite. It puts him in control, no matter how chaotic things around him may get. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define how others can treat you, and high-value men never allow those lines to be crossed without consequence. They don't wait until things get toxic to speak up. They establish their standards from the start. not through threats or ultimatums, but through calm consistency. When a woman tests those boundaries, whether through disrespect, manipulation, or passive behavior, a high-value man doesn't argue or beg for better treatment. He simply enforces what he's already made clear. This isn't about being controlling or rigid. It's about self-respect. A man who values himself doesn't tolerate mixed signals, constant flaking, or emotional manipulation. If she plays hot and cold, if she disappears and returns expecting attention like nothing happened, he doesn't welcome her back with open arms. He holds his line. And that teaches her something. He's not afraid to lose someone who doesn't value him. Weak. Men think setting boundaries will scare women away. But the truth is, healthy women respect a man who won't compromise his peace. Even the ones who test him will recognize they're dealing with someone who holds himself to a higher standard. That's powerful. That creates attraction on a different level. And when a boundary is crossed, a high-value man doesn't get emotional. He doesn't argue or try to guilt her into better behavior. He simply exits the situation or removes access to him. His energy is earned, not owed. That kind of response sends a clear message. He's not here to be played with. In a world full of men who fear rejection, a man who stands firm becomes a rarity. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about drawing the line where self-respect begins. And once a woman sees that line, she'll know. This man isn't like the rest. One of the most costly mistakes a man can make is falling in love with a woman's potential. Many men get attached to who a woman could be if only she changed, matured, or returned to how she was in the beginning. They cling to the memory of early affection, hoping it comes back, instead of looking clearly at how she's showing up now. But high-value men don't live in the past or invest in fantasy. They base their attention on consistency, what a woman does repeatedly, not occasionally. A woman might have had an amazing first few weeks with you. She may have been sweet, present, affectionate. But over time, things shift. Maybe she starts flaking, becomes distant, or plays games. A man without standards will keep chasing that initial version of her, hoping his effort brings it back. He'll excuse poor behavior because he's addicted to the high of how things used to be. High value. Men are different. They don't chase potential. They respond to patterns. If she showed up strong, and now she's inconsistent, they don't beg for more. They observe. And if she doesn't self-correct, they walk. Quietly, confidently, without drama. They understand that sustained effort is the only proof of genuine interest. This mindset not only protects their emotional energy, it forces the woman to recognize his value. If she wants to stay in his life, she must show up consistently, not just when it's convenient or fun, but over time, because he's not here to fix her, mold her, or wait for her to get it together. He's building something solid, and only women who match that energy get access. Consistency reveals character. Potential is just a promise. High-value men don't gamble with their peace. They invest only in what's real, and real is always proven through action. A high-value man operates with a deep sense of purpose, and that purpose always comes before his emotions. While most men allow attraction, desire, or feelings to steer their actions, the man who leads with mission stays grounded. He knows that a strong sense of direction in life is what builds true confidence, and no woman, no matter how attractive, will distract him from that path. His goals, his vision, and his growth are his primary focus. Relationships are not his foundation. They are an addition. When a man leads with emotion, he becomes reactive. He overinvests, overthinks, and overchases. His self-worth begins to rise and fall based on how a woman treats him. But when he's locked into his purpose, he becomes unshakable. He can care deeply without becoming consumed. He can love without losing focus. His mission keeps him stable in moments when emotions try to cloud his judgment. This mindset is not cold, it's powerful. It means that he shows up in a relationship as a whole person, not someone looking to be completed. And that energy is incredibly attractive. Women respect and desire men who are building something meaningful. A man who's driven, focused, and hard to distract becomes magnetic, because his time has value and his attention isn't thrown around lightly. When emotional challenges arise, tests, arguments, setbacks, the high-value man leans on his mission, not his feelings. He takes time to reflect instead of react. He handles conflict with clarity. He doesn't let emotions derail the bigger picture. And in doing so, he earns deeper respect. By prioritizing purpose over emotion, a man reclaims control over his life. He doesn't lose himself in love. Instead, he builds a life so strong and fulfilling that love naturally finds its place within it, never above it. A high-value man knows that detachment is not indifference, it's mastery. Emotional detachment means being able to care deeply without becoming emotionally enslaved. It's the ability to remain centered when someone pulls away, acts out, or plays games. Most men panic when they sense distance. They text more, chase harder, and try to fix what isn't theirs to fix. But the man who has mastered detachment stays calm. He understands that desperation repels and mystery attracts. This mindset gives him freedom. He no longer fears losing someone who isn't aligned with his values or energy. He doesn't grip tightly or cling out of insecurity. If a woman starts to pull away, he doesn't spiral into anxiety. He lets her. Not out of ego, but out of self-respect. He knows that what's meant for him won't need to be forced. And if she walks, he doesn't beg. He observes, and if necessary, he moves on, with grace and power. Detachment also keeps him clear-headed. He doesn't get swept away by temporary affection or manipulated by emotional highs and lows. He sees through the noise and responds only to consistency and real effort. This protects him from being played, used, or emotionally drained. Paradoxically, this kind of strength is often what draws women in more deeply. A man who isn't emotionally dependent is rare. He becomes a challenge, not because he plays games, but because his validation must be earned. His life is already full. A woman senses that, and if she wants to be a part of it, she must bring her best. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care without losing control. When a man can walk away at any time, not because he wants to, but because he respects himself, he becomes truly powerful. And that kind of power can't be faked. If you want to outsmart the games, stop playing small. Elevate your mindset. Hold your frame, and remember, she can't control a man who's already in control of himself.